Hello community. This is technically this is my second Facebook or well, fuck it. I'm just gonna stumble all over my words today. Hello community. Hope everything's going well. This is actually my second video that I am making on this. The first one I made, I felt like my audio wasn't good enough, and I want to make sure that everybody understands me clearly. So we're gonna do this again, and I'm gonna kind of do this whole thing. So first things first, I'm really going over the self-pass mechanic. But I feel like I think that we pretty much need to start off with how I have my settings set up, because I do feel like this is what's going to make it easier for people to understand this and to do this. So first things first, we're going to swing on over to our settings right here. And I'm going to show off real quick. Your boy's mad chromey. Your boy's mad chromey. Your boy's mad chromey. Anywho, settings. So here's my audio settings. This isn't really important for the self-passing, but I do like to have it like this because I like to hear the ball. It really does help when people are faking and you're wearing a headset, because you can distinctly hear when a ball is being left from an opponent's hand. It's really great to have. Sometimes you'll get thrown off by passes, though. That does happen. It really does scare me. But, you know, with each has its good and its bad. But anyway, back onto the topic. So what I would strongly suggest is to increase your sensitivity to 10. Strongly suggest that. This is going to affect how quickly you can look left and right and up and down. And for anybody that has any hesitancies about increasing your sensitivity, for this game in particular, since this doesn't necessarily work like Call of Duty, where you have to have precise aim, this game has a auto aiming feature. So even if I have crazy camera movements and stuff like that, if I look at this dummy, I'm not going to be looking away from that dummy. Even if I'm like that, well, you kind of see me looking away, but that's like after a lot of struggle. So really, you have the ability to kind of keep your lock-ons on somebody, even with the high sensitivity. On top of that, this is for those folk that may exist that says, oh, somebody is using an auto catch. There's no way that they can turn around and catch the ball that fast. It is totally possible. Please adjust your settings. This is what I mean. Oop, well, haha, bad example. Just like that. That ball was probably about right here, give or take, before I sat around and turned to catch it. It's about right here. The ball was definitely out of the dummy's hands because you can distinctly hear the ball in motion towards me. So I didn't even turn before I left the dummy's hand. And on top of that, you can do it at even higher speeds. And this is actually what I do when I practice in the hideout. I actually practice turning around and catching. So people practice stuff, and I say people, at least I practice it, just so I can make people just so I can make my opponents upset and make them think that I'm cheating. But I promise you, it's all in settings. But moving on forward, let's talk about self-passing. So, I am on PlayStation, by the way. Just as my evidential proof, if you see my name right there, you see the little PS symbol right there, I am on PlayStation. All platforms have the ability to do this. Although I feel like Switch might be a little bit harder because the Joy-Cons may not be as fun to do it with, but all platforms can do it. So I'm going to kind of begin this process right now. Starting off, at least until you kind of understand the science of it, I suggest you get yourself a nice high jump. And at the top of your jump, you're going to spin. I'm going to start off with a curve. I personally am better with the curve throw than I am with the lob self-pass. But that's personal preference. Apparently, a lot of other people are really, really good at doing the lob more than the curve. I just might be the oddball. Who knows? So what you're going to do, on the highest part of your jump, you're going to begin your curve. Just like that. It's going to look kind of like this. Now, here's the kicker. You are not going to charge your ball at all. This is going to be the slowest curve that you can possibly throw. And I'm going to throw this kind of towards the wall because I'm not trying to chase the ball all day. But it's going to look just like that. A super slow curve ball. And that exact same concept works the same with a lob. It's going to be a really, really super slow lob or super slow curve. Now, this process is not the tricky part. So I'm not going to really over-explain that. Now, this next part, I am going to explain. sprinting, which will be mostly everybody's left analog, you know, clicking the left analog button, whether, you know, it's L3 for, you know, PlayStation or, you know, whatever it is for your particular console, is going to be your sprinting. Now, this is going to sound weird because, you know, logically it doesn't sound like it makes sense, but you are able to sprint while you are in the air. Sounds dumb, I know. Now, here's my example of what I mean. If you see me sprinting, if you look on the outer edges of my screen or my HUD, you see those action lines. This signifies that I'm sprinting. Now, you're going to see me do this from a higher area, and you're going to notice that I am sprinting. That's a sprint. If you see it on the outside there, that is sprinting. What you're going to do is immediately after you pretty much release that ball, you're going to sprint down to the area that is going to land. To the spot is going to land. I don't even want to say area, to the exact spot. Now you may ask, hey Shad, how do you know exactly where it's going to land? If you see this white dot directly in the middle of my screen, and now you're going to see that white dot over there on the little wood boards, when you release your ball, that dot is going to stay where your ball is going to land. I'll show you right now. You see that? That dot's right there, and it turns to a larger dot showing you where it's going to land. What you're really going to do is you're going to sprint down, turn slightly, and catch the ball. Boom. Just like that. Now, I strongly suggest whenever you're practicing this, you do this from a higher area, because it's a lot easier to understand the science whenever you do it from far away and from a higher area. That was a good catch. We're not going to talk about that, but it's a little bit easier to understand what you're doing whenever you start higher up. So that's what that really is. Now I am going to show you, just for the sake of extra detail for anybody that may need it, the difference between not sprinting towards the ball and sprinting towards the ball. So this is me not sprinting towards the ball. The ball lands there and I'm about right here. I'm a little too short to catch that, if you can see. And in retrospect, if you're doing the move correctly, at least from a higher elevated area, I don't think you can hit yourself when you're on the ground. Unless you have a bomb or something like that, because that has a wider area, then yeah, you can do that. But if you're doing it right from a higher area, the ball's going to hit you. If you don't catch, the ball should hit you. That means that you are properly in the spot that you need to be. All you got to do is turn and catch it. So we're going to do this a few times to put this all together, so that way you guys can kind of see what this looks like. And you don't even always have to meet it at the spot. If you're kind of like good enough and you kind of know where it's going to land, or you can kind of guess the trajectory well enough, then you can kind of cut it off and catch it early. But that just comes with a little time. But that's kind of how the move works. It's literally just like that. So what I would do is I would suggest that when you're in the hideout, and even when you're in your games, because, you know, let's say this is Rooftop Rumbles or something like that, there are so many places that have a slightly higher elevation that you can do your self-pass off of, even if you're not proficient at doing it on the ground. But while you're in the hideout, I strongly suggest you just practice this from higher elevated areas until you understand how to perfectly do it. This is a less higher elevated area, so once you understand there, you can move on to here. And, you know, maybe you can move on to here, since this is like maybe a little less elevated. And then you'll eventually get to the point where you're doing it on the ground. So that's really the sciences behind self-passing. And, you know, I'll show you some fun little party tricks while we're here. This is just extra stuff. If you want to see it, you do. If you don't, you don't. But you can self-pass twice in the air if you're high enough. So you can just go to that spot, meet it, boom, and then restart your charge and throw it down again. And for those who don't know, I'll give you some free game on this too. Why not? Free tips, free game. Anyway, you can easily restart your charge on your ball by clicking your sprint button. You don't even have to move forward. You just click it. And that's it. It literally just completely stops. So for people who don't know how to do this, you can easily trick out your opponents by doing something like this. It's going to be a fastball. Nope, slow ball. Granted, that wasn't the smoothest transition. I'm not as diligent with it, but it's doable. So this is my little video, my tutorial for anybody that wants to kind of see it. I hope the best for you guys. And I really would love to see everybody doing this. Like, share this video. I don't want too many people missing out on this. I want this game to be competitive for everybody. I don't want it to be an extremely large skill gap just because you don't know how to do something. So feel absolutely free to share it to everybody. I will not complain. All it's going to do for me is force me to be a better player. And I'm never going to say no to that because I'm a sweaty gamer myself. If you don't believe me, I'm going to show off and show you all my obnoxious diamond icons and stuff like that. So I've been in diamond, you know. So again, I hope the best for you guys. Feel free to reach out to me. Look me up, infamous_shot on YouTube, TikTok, and Twitch. And in all honesty, if you guys want tips and stuff like that, feel free to reach out to me via Facebook or whatever platform you need to. And I'll love to give you tips to help you guys get better at League and stuff like that. Granted, next season is going to be Team KO, so you don't have to worry about the elimination platform, which, you know, I don't really mind either way. You know, I will adjust if I need to. I am just that type of person. So, again, I completely missed that. We're not going to talk about it. But, there you go. Self-passing. See you on the Knockout City game, and I like to see so many people doing it and make this game harder for me.